Hi, I'm Heidi Jones, Integrative Health Coach, and thank you for watching this video. Today is all about fears and how to overcome them. So these are related to fears that you feel are holding you back or making you feel stuck, especially over and over again, or with a goal that you have. And these goals, changes that you want to make, can relate to anything really. It could relate to your health goals, it could relate to your fitness goals, perhaps career, relationship goals. It really doesn't matter. You can use this process to help you overcome those fears as a starting point. Okay, this is the starting point. This is a little bit of action. Obviously what you do outside this video is what will really make the difference, but I'm going to set you up to help you move towards success, move towards happiness and the life that you want to achieve. Okay, so this week I really have been spending a lot of time with coaches that I work with and also clients talking about fears. And one thing that's come up is that everybody has a fear about something, and everybody has a fear that really kind of stops them in their tracks. Sometimes we recognize it and sometimes we really don't until we start to look at our behavior and our thought patterns around a particular goal or a particular step we need to take in order to move forward towards what we want to achieve. Now, these fears can come from all different types of places. They can be fears that have been rooted back from your past, or they could be new fears because you're taking on a new challenge or a new goal. Wherever you're at today, it doesn't matter. I'm going to help you recognize that, develop a bit more self-awareness, and to help you then be able to put some steps in place to help you move forward. Now, when it comes to fears, another thing that I've worked out or noticed is a lot of people build up fears in their head. So it's not so much that the fear is so big that it paralyzes you, it's that you build it up over and over and over in your head until it becomes massive and that you feel that you cannot do anything about it. So for example, I have coaches who are afraid, or they've got the fear of putting themselves out there and then not being a success. Perhaps they can't get the clients that they want to get, or they're afraid that they don't know enough information, or that they're going to be able to help that person. So they stay at home waiting for clients to come to them. Now, that's never going to happen. You have to put yourself out there in order to help people. Okay, so their fears there, they've built up in their head so much around what they think they need to know and what they actually do know. Usually really, they've lost perspective on what's going on. And just by doing this task that I'm going to share in a minute, it helps them get that perspective back and a little bit of self-confidence again to be able to take the first step forward. Another thing that I found is like people who have had trouble with weight loss. Okay, so this is with the clients that I've been working with. They actually have the fear of committing to moving forward with their weight loss plan or their fitness plan, lifestyle change plan, because of the fear of the feeling they're going to get if they fail. So it's almost like that fear of failure, that they feel that if they put too much effort in, that the failure is going to be so big, it's going to demotivate them and they're going to have to start from scratch again. Maybe that's happened in the past and that's why they have this underlying fear of actually succeeding. So the problem with that is they never put 100% into the actions that need to be taken in order to help them change and create the lifestyle they want. So the healthier lifestyle, the weight loss, or to increase their fitness, because they're always playing it safe. Because if they take too much of a risk, that, you know, that fear creeps in because you could fail, and then that could be really scary and upsetting. However, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to be constantly on a cycle of really just letting that fear win. You're not going to overcome it. So it's just a couple of examples. Maybe you relate to those, maybe you don't. I mean, I could go on about examples, but I'm going to get you straight into this activity now. What we're going to do is start the activity. So what I need you to do is go and get a pen and paper. Pause the video while you do that. Now you're back, you have your pen and paper. I would like you to take the time to answer some questions. So you will need some space to not be distracted. Write down what comes first into your mind. Don't overthink it. This is just an activity, an exercise to help you develop some self-awareness around your fear and to work out whether it's going to be worth overcoming. So number one, I would like you to start with writing down your fear. You may have more than one, and that's okay, but to go through the exercise once, I would focus on one fear that you feel is really holding you back or keeping you stuck at the moment. Pause the video and do that. Your second reflective question is to identify where you feel that fear come from. So do you have any memories or clues to how this fear began? Pause the video and write it down. The third question I would like you to answer is to really reflect and think about, does this fear have a place in your life right now? Lots of us can have fears that have stemmed from things from the past that have actually been there to protect us in some way. They were really useful at the time, but nowadays, when you're more grown up, you've got more experience, do they actually have a place anymore? And just by identifying that, it can really help you see your fear from a new perspective. So pause the video, write down, does it have a rightful place in your life at the moment? Okay, number 4. Now, if this is something that you experienced when you were younger, I want you to think about, do you still need to avoid it today? You know, is it something that you need to hold on to, again, for that protective barrier? Perhaps it's a comfort zone. Is it relevant today? If it is, then that will matter. But if it isn't, because you are stronger, that you are more resourceful, you are more equipped to deal with perhaps facing this fear, pause the video and write down your answer. Okay, number 5 is to really identify if there is any proof that just because you've experienced something before, that it will happen again. Pause the video and answer that question. Okay, following on that question, you could even look at, just because I've seen somebody else experience it, does it mean that I'm going to experience it? So you can look at, I'm going to give you an example for something that I might have a fear of, is putting myself out there in business. There's so many people that fail at business. So does that mean that I should have that fear that I'm going to fail too? Have a think, right? Pause the video and write down if there's anything that just because someone else has experienced it, does it mean you need to fear it as well? Okay, now these are some powerful questions coming up. So the next one is, what are you missing out on because you're holding on to this fear? Pause the video and write it down. Then I would like you to think about going forward. So if we're going to talk about scenarios, if the worst was to happen, so you had to live out that fear, would it be worth trying? So with this exercise, kind of visualize what would be the worst case scenario for you. And if it comes down to that it's not as bad as you think, then you can work out whether it's worth trying or not. So what would be the worst case scenario? Pause the video, write it down. Okay, now those questions there are to help you learn a little bit more about your fear and how you're attached to it. So this will really help you understand if it is worth overcoming. Is it a fear that you know that by holding on to it, it's really just stopping you move forward with the goals that you have? Because if it is, you have the decision now to decide whether you want it to continue or if you would like to change that. The power is in the decision.